Level 1 to 7 of having $0. Level 1. The number on the screen isn't negative. It's just 0. No minus sign, no red text, no fee waiting to compound the wound. 0 is quieter than negative. And somehow, that's worse. Negative at least gives you someone to blame. A bank, a fee, a system working against you. 0 just sits there, flat, silent, yours. You wake up on a Monday and check the app before your eyes fully adjust to the light. $0. You already knew. You checked it 4 times last night. The number didn't change while you slept, which is somehow both a relief and its own small disappointment. Like checking a lottery ticket you already know lost. Rent isn't due for 11 days. That's the only reason you're not panicking yet. You have food in the fridge, not much, but enough to get through a few days if you're careful about portions. You do the math before you've had coffee. 7 days. $0. No incoming deposit until the following Friday. You write it down on a sticky note, not because you'll forget, but because seeing it in your own handwriting makes it feel like a plan instead of a crisis. You skip the coffee shop on the corner, the one you walk past every morning. You don't tell the barista why you're not coming in. You just walk past like you have somewhere more important to be. You don't. You just have less money than the version of yourself who used to stop there. Your phone buzzes. A subscription renewal reminder, $9.99, due in 3 days. You don't have it. You open the settings and cancel it before the thought even fully forms. The way you'd pull your hand back from something hot before you register the pain. The app asks if you're sure. You are. You've never been more sure of anything that small. The first rule, at 0, the smallest decisions carry the most weight because there's no cushion left to absorb a wrong one. Level 2. Day 2. You make coffee at home. The store brand grounds you bought 3 weeks ago when you had money and weren't thinking about rationing anything. It doesn't taste as good. You drink it anyway. You've started doing math on things you never used to think, about how many cups are left in the bag, how many days that stretches, whether the milk will go bad before you finish it. This is what 0 does. It turns your kitchen into a spreadsheet. Your friend texts, asking if you want to grab lunch. You say you already ate. You didn't. You say you're swamped with work. You're not. The lie costs nothing and buys you a day without having to explain that going to lunch would cost $14 you don't have. Explaining that out loud feels heavier than skipping the meal. You open your bank app again around 2 p.m. Not because anything's changed, but because checking it has become a reflex, like touching a bruise to see if it still hurts. It still hurts. $0. You close the app. You find a $20 bill in an old jacket pocket while looking for gloves. For a second, your chest lifts actual relief, physical, like a held breath finally released. Then, you remember the electric bill is $46 and due in 4 days. The 20 doesn't close that gap. It just makes the gap 26 instead of 46. You put the bill in your wallet anyway. It's not nothing. At 0, nothing is nothing. $20 is a small miracle you didn't ask for. You eat rice for dinner, plain, with a little soy sauce you found in the back of the fridge. It's not a sad meal. You tell yourself that twice. It's not a sad meal. It's a smart one. You almost believe it by the second bite. The second rule, 0 doesn't make you desperate immediately. It makes you resourceful first. It only becomes desperate once resourcefulness runs out of places to look. Level 3. Day 3. The electric bill notification hits your email at 8:14 a.m. before you've even gotten out of bed. $46.12, due in 3 days. You read it lying flat on your back, phone held above your face, and you feel the day start before you've moved a single muscle. You've found $4 more in coins scattered across drawers, a car cup holder, the bottom of a bag you haven't used since summer. 24 total now. Still 22 short of the electric bill. Still $0 anywhere else. You start listing things you could sell. An old game console you haven't touched in a year. A jacket you bought and wore twice. None of it feels dramatic. It just feels like arithmetic. What's worth more sitting in a closet than solving a problem today? You list the console online. Someone messages within 20 minutes offering $35. You almost say yes immediately, then hesitate. Because saying yes that fast feels like admitting how much you need it. You wait an hour before responding, just to feel like you had a choice in it. You didn't, really. But the hour matters to you. The money hits your account well. Technically, it's cash. Handed to you in a parking lot by someone you've never met and will never see again. You count it twice. $35. You put 22 aside mentally for the electric bill and let yourself feel, for exactly a few seconds, like a person who solved something instead of a person who lost something. That night, you scroll past an ad for a restaurant you used to go to. Nothing changes on your face. You just keep scrolling. The version of you from 2 weeks ago would have tapped it, thought about going. This version of you doesn't. Not because you don't want to, because wanting things at zero costs energy you're rationing along with everything else. The third rule. At zero, you start converting the past old belongings, unused things, into present tense survival. Nothing is really yours anymore. Everything is a potential $20. Level 4. Day 4. The refrigerator is thinner now. Not empty, you're careful, deliberate, but thinner in the way that makes you notice every shelf. You open it 3 times before you commit to anything, the way you might reread an email before sending it. Eggs, half a loaf of bread, a little cheese, rice you're stretching across days it wasn't meant to cover. You eat eggs and toast for lunch. Plain, no butter, because the butter ran out yesterday, and you didn't replace it. It fills you. Pause. That's the only metric that matters right now. Not flavor, not variety, fill. Your coworker brings in leftover catering from a meeting pasta, some kind of chicken dish, more than anyone in the office wants. You take a plate. You don't overthink it. Don't perform reluctance the way you might have a month ago. Free food isn't charity right now. It's math. Short pause. You eat slowly, savoring it in a way that has nothing to do with taste, and everything to do with knowing dinner is now solved without touching anything at home. You get a notification the electric payment cleared. $46.12, gone. Using the $35 from the console, plus the loose coins you'd collected, plus a few dollars that were already sitting untouched in a savings buffer you forgot existed, $6.40 that had been sitting there so long, it might as well have been someone else's money. Pause. You breathe out slowly. The kind of breath that isn't relief exactly, just the absence of one specific pressure. The bigger pressure the whole week, the whole zero is still there. You just bought yourself a little more room inside it. That evening, your phone buzzes with a marketing email, a sale on something you don't need and can't afford anyway. You unsubscribe, not out of principle, out of exhaustion. Every notification that reminds you what you can't have costs something small, and you're done paying it. The fourth rule. At zero, small reliefs don't feel like winning. They feel like breathing room borrowed against tomorrow, still owed, just deferred. Level 5. Day 5. You wake up and, for the first time all week, don't check the bank app first thing. You just lie there for a minute, staring at the ceiling, before you remember why you didn't check, because you already know what it says. Zero doesn't need confirming twice a day anymore. It's become background noise instead of an alarm. You go through your closet with actual intent this time. Not casually, not maybe I'll sell something. You pull 4 items you haven't worn in over a year, a coat, 2 shirts, a pair of shoes that never quite fit right. You photograph them on your bed with decent light, write short, honest descriptions, and post them for a combined $60. You don't expect all 4 to sell. You just need 1 or 2 to sell fast. Someone buys the coat within the hour for $22. You feel the same quiet lift you felt with the console. Not joy exactly, more like the specific relief of watching a number that's been sitting at zero move even slightly in the other direction. $22 isn't rent. It isn't groceries for a week, but it's proof the week isn't a closed loop. There are still small doors. You spend part of the afternoon doing something you haven't done in months, reading the terms of your own bank account. Overdraft protection, minimum balance requirements, the exact fee structure that's been sitting there the whole time, unread, irrelevant until this week made it suddenly very relevant. You realize you've never actually understood your own account before now. Zero taught you to read the fine print you always scrolled past. Dinner is the leftover rice, stretched with a can of beans you found behind the pasta boxes, seasoned with whatever's left in the spice rack. It's not a meal you'd choose. It's a meal that exists because you looked hard enough to find it. The fifth rule. Zero forces you to actually understand the systems around your money, not the number itself, but the rules governing it, because for the first time, every rule directly touches you. Level 6. Day 6. You've made it further than you expected to on day 1. 2 more days until the deposit hits. The $22 from the coat and the leftover buffer have kept you at a small, fragile positive instead of a deeper negative. And that fragile positive feels, oddly, like wealth. Not real wealth, just wealth relative to Monday. A friend offers to help, not a loan exactly, just a casual, let me get this one when you meet for a walk, that somehow turns into stopping for coffee. You almost say no out of the old instinct, the performance of being fine that you've been running all week. Then you just say thank you. It costs you nothing to accept it, and it costs your friend nothing to offer it. And somewhere in the middle of that small exchange, you remember that not every transaction this week has to be a battle you fight alone. You do a final inventory of the fridge and the cabinets. What's left will get you through 2 more dinners if you're careful. You've stopped thinking about food as pleasure this week. It's fuel, timed and rationed, and you've gotten unexpectedly good at making very little stretch very far. You check the bank app in the evening, an old habit returning now that the number is finally about to move. Still $0, but tomorrow the deposit posts. You know the exact time it usually lands, sometime after midnight, before 6 a.m. You don't set an alarm. You don't need to. You know you'll check the second you wake up. The same reflex from day one. Except this time you're checking to see relief arrive instead of confirming its absence. The 6th rule. At 0, accepting help stops being a failure and starts being math. The same math that told you to sell the console and cancel the subscription. Pride is expensive, and by day 6, you can't afford it anymore either. Level 7. Day 7. The deposit lands at 3:47 a.m. You don't see it until 6:15, when your alarm goes off and your hand finds the phone before your eyes are even open. The number isn't huge. It's a normal paycheck, the same one that's always landed every other week of your life. But looking at it after 7 days of 0, it doesn't look normal. It looks enormous. You don't spend any of it immediately. That's the strange part. A week ago, any amount of money felt like something to solve a problem with instantly. Now, sitting there with an actual balance again, you just look at it for a minute. You transfer a fixed amount into savings first, an amount you wouldn't have thought to protect a week ago, before you touch a cent of it for anything else. The habit didn't exist 8 days ago. It exists now, formed in exactly the week that had nothing to spare. You go to the coffee shop on the corner for the first time in 7 days. The barista says, "It's been a while." You say you've been busy. It's not entirely a lie this time. You've been busy doing arithmetic in your head every waking hour, converting old belongings into rent money, learning fee structures you'd ignored for years, learning exactly how far a bag of rice can stretch when it has to. You buy groceries that afternoon with something close to normal ease. Though not quite, you still check the total before you get to the register. Still do the math automatically. A reflex that isn't going away as fast as the 0 did. You buy the same store brand coffee instead of switching back immediately to the one you used to prefer. Not because you can't afford the difference, because the 7 days taught you a value system you're not ready to abandon just because the number changed. That night, you sit with your bank app open, the number sitting comfortably positive for the first time in a week, and you think about the version of you from Monday morning, staring at $0, doing math before coffee. You didn't become someone else this week. You just found out what you're willing to do, sell, skip, and accept when the number hits 0 and nothing is coming for 7 more days. Somewhere, right now, someone else is opening their banking app for the first time this morning, seeing a flat, quiet 0 with no minus sign and no fee attached to it yet. They don't know yet how many small decisions the next 7 days will ask of them. They don't know the console they haven't touched in a year is worth $35, or that the jacket in the closet is worth more sitting on someone else's shoulders than hanging untouched in the dark. They just see the number. 0 doesn't announce what it's about to cost you. It just waits for you to find out. The 7th rule. 0 doesn't break you. It reveals exactly what you're carrying that you didn't know was disposable, and exactly what you're capable of when nothing else is coming.